I want to cry all the time thinking about all the animals suffering at this second. How to cope? That is a very good question. I've been there myself. I spent many nights and many days crying about what happens to animals. I've been very, very heartbroken about it, and I still am to this day. And I go in and out of phases, but I definitely go through phases where I'm really thinking about it, and I'm not really in this phase now, so I don't feel those emotions right now, but in the times where I do really feel it, I'm really thinking about it, I'm feeling it, I'm remembering my past experiences, being at slaughterhouses, failing to rescue animals, failing to save animals. Sometimes I remember the times when I wasn't vegan and all the suffering that I was causing animals. So I definitely relate to this. I think a lot of us do. Okay, and Camila in the chat says, we feel you. So first of all, don't judge yourself for that, because it's something that I think most of us go through. I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of my friends who are vegan and who advocate for animals, they go through these phases too. Acknowledge that what you're feeling, it's okay for you to be feeling that. It's completely justified for you to be feeling what you're feeling. Now, the way that and this is what's worked for me, and I'll give you sources to study if you want to learn more about this, is I want to feel those emotions and let them go. A great book about this topic is the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. I encourage you to read that book. It's an amazing book. Really, really insightful on how to let go of emotions. But the basic gist of it is, when you feel those emotions, let yourself feel them and let go. So for me, I've done this multiple times, and now, for example, to give you an example, when this hits me, what I'll do is I'll fully let myself experience this. The last time it really hit me was maybe about a month ago, or a little over a month ago. It was at a vigil that I was at a pig slaughterhouse, and there was, a few trucks went by, and at a certain point, I just got really emotional and I completely broke down. And I was at the vigil, but what I did in that moment was I didn't judge myself. I was like, okay, I feel really sad right now, and that's okay, so I'm just gonna feel that. So I sat down and I cried it out. I just cried and cried and cried and let myself feel everything that I was feeling. And I just sat with that and I just accepted what I was feeling. And I was like, this is okay. And after a while, it passed and I let go of it. All right, so that's how you can deal with it in the moment. Now, in the long run, it's kind of a similar thing, but I'll tell you about an experience that I had that was really healing for me. This is probably the most vulnerable moments of my entire live stream. All right, but let's just go there. All right, so this one time, I was in a personal development training, and that training revolved a lot around releasing past trauma. It was incredible. It was incredibly healing for me to go through that. And we were doing this exercise that was all about forgiveness. It was all about forgiving others and ourselves. And it was all about acknowledging the suffering that we've caused others in our lives and the suffering that others have caused us. And there was a certain point during that exercise that I pictured in my mind, because the prompt was something like, picture all the people that you have double-crossed, or all the people that you've caused some type of suffering to, right? Something like that. I can't remember very clearly. And when that prompt came up, I just pictured in my mind all the animals who had suffered as a result of my actions before I became vegan. And it was this ocean of faces of animals that just hit me. And that was one of the most painful experiences of my life. And what happened at that moment is I got really emotional about it. And I was crying, I was yelling. I mean, this was like ugly. It was like beautiful, but I was really just yelling and crying and just letting go. And I fully let myself go there. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna feel everything and I'm gonna let go. Or, I didn't think I'm gonna let go, but what ended up happening is that I was able to relieve myself of a lot of that. And after I went through that, I felt a lot lighter. We have to learn how to let go of these emotions and forgive ourselves for what we've done to animals. I've seen some memes floating around the internet that say that we don't deserve forgiveness for what we've done to animals. And maybe if you look at it logically, that might be true. But I do think it's important for us as human beings to learn how to forgive ourselves. It doesn't mean that it makes the things that we've done okay. Like what I've done to animals as someone who wasn't vegan, that's not okay. That will never be okay. I could never say that that's okay. But at the same time, I think it was important for me to forgive myself for that. And me forgiving myself, it doesn't mean, again, that I'm saying that that's okay. It just means that I'm emotionally relieving myself of the burden of that guilt and that shame and that anger and that sadness that's tied to what I've done to animals. And just because I don't feel that anymore, even though I will feel it sometimes, but I don't feel it nearly as much as I did, just because I don't feel it anymore, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just means that I forgave myself. And to me, having relieved myself of that, or having let go of that, I found that to be extremely healthy for myself, because I don't walk around being bogged down by that. Right? So that's what's worked for me. So that's why I wanted to share it with you. I don't know your exact situation. I don't know exactly where you're at emotionally, nor am I really qualified to give you any kind of super grounded advice. Okay, but I have personally tried my best, at least, to over the past 7 years, I've tried to study personal development, and I've tried to apply as much of it as I can to my own life. I think I've really pushed myself to develop myself as a person, and I come from a place where I was really emotionally closed, and I've taken trainings and I had mentors, etc., etc. So I do feel like I learned a couple things, so that's what I'm trying to share with you. I'm not an authority, so don't take anything I'm saying as gospel, or question everything I'm saying. But one thing that has worked for me is just accepting everything that I'm feeling, being like, this is okay. And when I feel it, I just let myself feel it, and I do my best to let myself feel it until the end. I don't want to repress those emotions, because that doesn't help. And if you want to read about that, read a book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins.